Get home from school, turn on my TV. Who are these friends staring right back at me? Now that we're old.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Jessica. And this is 90s Babies Nostalgia, where two fully grown millennials watch and rewatch iconic tween entertainment from the early 2000s, but not today.
Because this is remix. But sometimes we forget which outros or intros we're doing. Intros, words. I know words. Just to be clear, we're not sponsored by nor affiliated with any of the companies, brands, channels, anything's people, whatever that we talk about in this show. We just really like talking about TV. And today, the TV that we're talking about is Young Royals, Season 1, Part 2.
Part 2. Mm-hmm.
So we already covered part 1 of Young Royals, and because this is a bite-sized show with 6 45-minute episodes and a butt ton of stuff happens in each episode, we talk about every single one. So if you have not listened, go listen to our other episode. Get caught up. It's spicy, it's juicy, it's fun. If you like Heartstopper, you will like this. It's them, but not. But yes, that's a reference.
The Swedish.
Get it. But before we get into it, Jessica, what have you been enjoying lately?
I got a bunch of cookbooks over the holidays, and I wanted to shout out one, Snacking Bakes by Yassia Refi, who also has another book called Snacking Cakes, which came out in 2020 or 2021. The whole concept of the cookbook is baked items that you can make in 90 minutes to 2 hours or less. There's no chill time. Don't have to wait for eggs to come to room temperature, for butter to soften. Everything is, you get your ingredients and you go. You don't need to wait for any doughs or anything to rest in the fridge. So it's just a way of making baking a lot more accessible from a time point and an effort standpoint. And I've made a couple recipes from the Snacking Bakes, and they were so delicious and so yummy. I made the snacking cookies that had Ritz crackers crumbled up into it and Lay's potato chips, and they were so delicious. So that is what I've been enjoying. How about you?
Also in a literary sense, I want to give a shout out to the Storygraph because I've been using it for the last 2 or 3 years. If you are someone like myself or Jess when she's in the right mood and you like reading, as I have been known to shout out books, the Storygraph is an alternative to Goodreads, and it is so much better. The only thing Goodreads has going for it is the number of people there. But then as more and more people move to the Storygraph, which this year they were actually down for the first day of January because they had record signups and they needed to make it more robust. It's getting better and better. It is a woman-owned business, whereas Goodreads is owned by Amazon, and all of the information in Goodreads is pretty much put in by volunteers and free labor. The Storygraph is not like that. It is independently owned, and it has moods for what you're interested in, and you can get recommendations through your moods and through your previous reads, and you can track everything you tracked in Goodreads. You can even export all of your data from Goodreads and import it into the Storygraph so you don't lose your Goodreads data, which I know is a lot of people are like, but my legacy is in Goodreads. You can transfer all of that over, and you can mark booked as owned, and it's so fun for me to look at all of my graphs of what I've read.
Yeah, I love it. Amanda got me to switch over probably just about a year ago. It was at the start of last year. Something more recently that they added, which I like, is if you're out and about and you see a book that you want to add to your 2 reads, they have a barcode scanner. You just flip the book over, you scan the barcode, and you say you want it in 2 read, and it will just load it into your 2 read. And I really enjoy that feature.
I didn't even know that. I really like their reading challenges. I always do their Reads the World challenge where they pick 10 different countries that are not the US or the UK because so many books take place there. So I've read books from Brazil and Nigeria and South Africa and Colombia and South Korea and Japan and all over the place. And I already love works in translation. It just forces me to look for books from those places. And I found some of my favorite books ever because of that challenge. So I'm doing it right now for my 3rd year in a row. So highly recommend it if you guys have not switched over. That's my thing.
Love it. Jumping into Young Royals, as Amanda mentioned, we'll be covering the second half of season 1, so episodes 4, 5, and 6. Before we start to get in the summaries, we do want to kind of mention some trigger warnings, just in case these are things that you don't want to hear or don't want to listen to being discussed, then this probably is not the episode for you. But there is mention of death of a sibling, there's drugs, alcohol, and some being outed that will be discussed in this episode. Getting started. Episode 4. Episode 4.
If you hate us, guys, don't hate us. It's fun.
It's fun. We're here for a good time. We get scenes of Wille at home. He's attending Prince Eric's funeral, and you kind of see his parents forcing him to kind of step into his new role. So they're like, you need to start sitting in the morning meetings, learning how they run, because you are
Crown Prince.
Crown Prince. His dad suggests that he returns to Hilarska because that Eric went there for the whole time. So he's like, you got to go back to school. And also that, like, you're next in line of the throne. No more mistakes. All eyes on you. If you thought everyone was comparing you to Prince Eric before, it's going to be even worse now. Also, we see Simone is texting him, but Willie's ignoring the text, not responding.
And also, we see that Simone is finally getting some payments from August, but only for like 500 kroner when he owes him like 5,500 or more. I don't even know, but I know that his mom at the same time gets the bill for his private tutoring he's been getting, and that is 5,500 kroners, which is a lot. She's upset, and he's like, don't worry, I'm taking care of it. How? He won't tell her. August gets a call from the queen, and he learns that Wille is coming back to school and that he should take care of him, so he tells Vincent to gather the stuff for a new society initiation.
Willie's back at Hilarska. The choir welcomes him with a song because that's just a thing that happens. In this one, Simone's like the main singer for most of the song. And you can tell Simone's like trying to make eye contact while singing with Wille. And he keeps kind of like looking away and finding it hard to like focus his eyes on anything. And after the performance, he goes up and he thanks the school for all the condolences that they've been giving. And he like shares some memories and thoughts about like losing Eric and how he lost his role model and how he kind of like doesn't know what he's going to do, but he is going to try to be crown prince, and that is what he's going to do. But he's like clearly very upset giving this speech. Afterwards, Simone sits down and talks to Wille and is like, hello, did you get my text? And he's like, yeah, but also delete all of our text messages and communication, and we can't do this anymore. So we get Ayoub texting Simone being like, hey, why is Mickey contacting me, which is Simone's dad? And Simone's like, ignore him, don't respond to him, don't talk to him.
Wille gets a new room, which was Eric's old room. It's clearly a double that's given to just a student. Why he needed this room? Unnecessary. So he's sitting in his old room scrolling his phone. He goes to delete Simon's contact, but I can't really tell if he deletes it or not. I couldn't catch that, and Jess thought that he didn't, but it's in Swedish and the captions aren't telling you. Either way, he's considering
like the captions tell you delete contact, but then the selection of yes or no is in Swedish. So it's like, I don't know which one he clicked. I tried to watch it like 4 times and I was like, I can't. I don't know.
I know which word is which, but I think I looked down to write a note when it happened and I didn't bother rewinding.
Fair.
And then he has a panic attack and paces his room very dramatically while having flashbacks of him and Simone holding hands and kissing because he's a little broody gay boy. Simone, meanwhile, goes to his dad's house and finds that Mickey is passed out drunk on the couch, and he's like, fuck this fuckhead. Sorry. And then rummages through his dad's kitchen and takes all of his pills. Then there's a scene... It's actually one of my favorite scenes, which says a lot about me. August and Felice are fucking, as Jess wrote so eloquently. They're having sex in his dorm room. And he gets mad because very briefly her eyes are closed and he's like, what, are you thinking about someone else? Are you thinking about Wille? A sign of things to come.
Simone gives August all the pills that he stole from his dad and is like, you need to sell these and pay me back. Like, here you go and sell them. I need the money.
It's so trashy. I just have to say that. It's a plastic shopping bag full of random pills that are half used and no one even knows what they are. And he just like shoves it in August's face and is like, sell this. Like, for all we know, it's like erectile dysfunction meds.
Yeah. And at first August is like, no. And then Simone's like, well, I'll tell everyone you're broke. And so August is like, okay, fine, I'll do it. Sara apologizes to Felice about what happened at Parents' Day. And she's like, I was just being honest. And I want to continue to be friends with you. And Felice is like, okay. And you kind of see them going back to developing their friendship. In these next few episodes. Felice has Wille's jacket from earlier because he gave it to her when she was cold, and August sees this and throws a literal fit and takes it from her and is like storming to Wille's room, but then his security is like, we'll give it to him. You do not need to come here, August. Goodbye. Simone is getting payment after payment to his bank account from August, so he is finally getting his money that he's owed back.
But he's still spiraling, so he goes to the barn to find Felice because she posted a picture on Instagram tagging that she was at the barn. But all he finds is Sara, and Sara's like, yeah, she does that sometimes. And so then he tells her that she's pretty and kisses her, and she's like, LOL, that was so random. And then he kisses her again. And then Wille has an invitation in his room, how someone got in his room when he now has security. He didn't have that before. He now has security because he's the crown prince all the time. And it says to sneak out at 11:30 to join the society. And he's like, fuck yeah, finally an outlet. Mickey shows up and yells at Simone about taking his medicine and says, that's a prescription. I need it to function. And he's like, don't lie to me. We all know that you'll take anything you can get your hands on. And this is because Simone showed up to pay him money, which is actually pleasantly surprised by, because it's like he owes his tutor money as well, but he was paying him back for the booze. And now it's initiation night. These boys love to party. And
yes, they do.
Wille sneaks out through the window and, is escorted to a room by Alexander where he needs a key, and Alexander doesn't have one. Shows you where he is on the pecking order, and he is initiated into joining the society, replacing the spot previously held by his brother Prince Eric. And he has to promise to protect the society's noble families and prevent their extinction. So normal and cool of them. He agrees, and then they just drink a lot and take the random drugs that Simone had. And Alex is asked to pack the drugs up and hide them carefully when they're finished. And then there we get this weird scene where August and Wille are drunk peeing outside and start screaming while peeing and opening up to each other, and that's cool. And he feels guilty for partying while his brother is dead, and guilty for telling his brother, why'd you get a fancy car if you're never going to drive it fast?
Wille is walking through a field by himself. How he got by himself, we don't know. How he got to this field, we also don't know. But he is super drunk and super high.
By field, we mean soccer field, not like a meadow or anything.
Yeah. It's a soccer field. I guess that's important. It starts raining. He calls Simone, and Simone's like, who's this? He's like, Wille. And he's just like going on a spiral. I'll get into it later because this is my favorite scene of season 1. And then he tells Simone he really likes him. And Simone's like, are you on the football field? Because he picks it up from context clues. And so he rides his bike to Wille, and Simone is frustrated that he's high, but he's like, gotta get him back to his dorm. Like, picks up Wille, is trying to get him back on his feet. Then we go to next morning, and Simone wakes up, and they're like not cuddling or anything. Simone's kind of like squished towards the end of the bed, and Wille's like fully spread out on the other. Like, he's lying normal, and Simone's like squished.
It's like sleeping sitting up.
Yeah. And he's getting ready. He gets out of bed. He starts to put on his like a sweater and stuff. And Wille's like, no, please stay. Don't go.
Stay until I fall asleep again.
Yeah, can you, hold me and cuddle me until I fall asleep again? And they snuggle, which quickly escalates into them making out and hooking up.
And as they are hooking up and like clothes are coming off hooking up,
Yeah.
August is trying to find Alexander by knocking on various windows outside of the building. Why he can't go to the doors is beyond me. And he walks past Ville's and sees it and starts to film him. Like he sees that there is some hooking up happening of some sort, and his instinct is to move to the side of the window, pull out his phone, start recording, and then move back to the window to record exactly what is happening. And while he is recording, he sees Simone's face.
Mhm.
And now he has it. And that's the end of the episode. Yeah, it's a lot of
It's
brooding.
it's a lot. This show is drama, 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 drama.
Yeah, and the first half is like wholesome gay drama, and the second half is like Eric's dead gay drama.
Yeah.
So it ramps up.
I don't even like know where to start, but at the beginning of the episode when Wille returns to Hilerska after the whole like choir performance thing, Simone goes to like sit and talk to him, and it's like they've already kissed at this point. They have a relationship. Like a normal person would just like sit next to him, but he sits across the aisle to have this conversation of like, why are you ignoring my text? Which I thought was like very weird. Like,
I kind of liked it because I think it symbolizes the distance that he's feeling because he's not getting his messages returned.
okay. Okay.
I
I'll give
think
it
this
that.
show likes a lot of physical symbolism, which I'm going to get into a little bit later.
Yeah. The sex scenes in the show are a lot. They're a
I
lot.
the intimacy coordinator, whose name is Sara, and they use they them pronouns. I don't remember their last name. I looked it up and then I closed the tab, but they're Swedish. Fantastic job, I'm assuming. Assuming
Oh, yeah.
everyone's comfortable in doing it, because this show has hands down the most realistic sex scenes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like,
And I do think they're comfortable because when I first watched this show, I watched a lot of interviews, and Simone and Ville both are like the sex scenes in the show spot on, so hot, like the actors, not even the
yeah,
characters. Like the actors are like speaking highly of the sex scenes, knowing how good they were portrayed. So I think everyone is very aware that it's done well.
my favorites are always with Felice
Oh
because
yeah.
earlier in the series we see her starting to masturbate in a very realistic way, like putting her hands down her own pants without taking them off. And then in this one with August, you see her like going down for her clit, and then he like moves her hand and then she tries to put it back, which is like
Yeah.
pretty normal for
Yeah.
women, like very normal actually. I love that attention to detail.
Yeah, and the focus on like this is kind of going out, but for the longest time, especially before streaming services and things like that, when TV shows were just shown on television and movies and stuff, the rating system is really fucked up. There's a whole documentary on it. It's like one panel of people that rate things as, PG-13, etc.
Mhm.
But you couldn't like if you showed a male orgasm, it would only be PG-13, but if you showed a female orgasm, it would be rated R. And we're slowly moving away from that because it's just like fucked up standards. But I do like that in this show it does show like female orgasm, male orgasm, it does show masturbation, like it makes sex feel really real. It doesn't feel like it's just for the movies or just for a show.
Asterisk, I don't know that we've ever seen her orgasm because she gets
Sure.
interrupted when she's masturbating and they stop having sex when she closes her
Sure.
eyes. But
I need more of the focus on her face because
yeah,
we do get close ups on her face of pleasure. So I guess I say orgasm, female pleasure is really what I was referring to there.
yeah. And I just like that, yeah, the pleasure is a focus of this is
Hmm.
not just penetrative.
Hmm.
Speaking of people kissing,
Yeah. I liked Sarah's reaction to August's kiss. I thought it was very realistic. She's very like taken aback and even like audibly laughs at it. I don't love that he kissed her without consent. However, I thought her reaction was spot on.
To me, it's like hilarious that, like, I don't love that he kissed her without consent either, but the audacity of a man to be laughed at in his face after kissing someone and then to go back in for another, like, you really thought she liked that?
Yeah. But honestly, men would. This society welcoming is so much calmer than what we get in episode 1
Mm-hmm.
for Ville's initiation into like the dorm house,
Mm-hmm.
which we spoke at length about how terrifying that was. This is just like, let me walk you to a doorway. We gave you a key, open a door. And I'm just like, were we just like, we already did one initiation, we don't want to do another? Like,
And then get really, really drunk. But I would say he got more fucked up. He got more
yeah,
intoxicated in this one,
a way more. Yeah.
but it was way less terrifying because there's
Yeah, it
no
was
bags
less
over the
hazy.
heads. There's no like drinking the spit. Yeah. For sure, this felt tame. But also, I want to point out how fucked up it is. Like, I don't think I caught this when I was first watching it. And I think I've rewatched this before. This might be my third watch. I don't think I caught it before that August says the only requirements to be in the society is you have to be born of noble blood and the
Yeah.
first male born in your family.
Mm-hmm.
Which is to say, Wille is being initiated because his older brother died and would not have been able to join had Eric not died. And so he's like actively mourning his brother while being told, "Hey, now you're the real heir. You can come join our secret club." Like, that's fucked up. That's dark.
It's dark. It is dark. A little less dark. I want to know what this drinking game is that they're playing. They have like a dice that they're rolling, and then depending on the number they get, there's like a lineup of shot glasses, and then they drink it, and then they're like, oh, that one was water, or oh, it was definitely alcohol. And I'm like, what is this drinking game? Feels like very college. And then they do the same exact drinking game, but with the pills. So they're like rolling a dice and it lines up to like what pill you need to take. I don't know. Felt strange.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I also didn't catch that they were doing it with the drugs. I thought they were just taking the drugs at random. Do they know what the drugs are? I don't know what this whole scene is, but I do know that when they're screaming outside, it's a great scene. August for once feels like a person. But that is the longest PI I've ever seen.
Yeah, they are peeing for a really long time. And also they're peeing very close to the wall. And I'm like, wouldn't it ricochet? I don't really understand if it would or not. But I felt like you would get pee on you. But I really loved the screaming scene because like Vili really opens up about like, he's like, what am I doing? How am I supposed to do this? Like, I'm here partying and my friggin' brother is dead. And now I'm the crown prince and I have no idea what I'm doing. And they just like scream and let it all out, and it feels good to watch it. You're like, oh yeah, they needed this.
And August really sucks, and this is the start of the deterioration of an already shitty character, but this scene is one of the few times where I kind of like him, where he's like kind of stepping up a little.
Yeah, he's humanized for a little bit for sure. Okay, the field scene. Guys, I really need to talk about it. It's my favorite. I've watched it so many times. I've gone back and just watched that scene. Like, I have a YouTube video saved that's just of that scene that I probably have watched like 25 times. I'm not even exaggerating. I just think the way that Vili acts high and drunk is very realistic. Like, it's really, really well done. It doesn't feel over exaggerated.
No, but it looks fun.
It looks really fun. While he's on this football field, there's all the little like soccer, little like wire. They look like people playing soccer, and they're probably used to learn like plays and stuff. But they're little like metal stands, and he is like kicking them and punching them over. And at one point, he really drunkenly like sticks his head through the metal face frame and like smiles, and he looks fucked up, like so drunk. It looked so realistic.
His whole monologue to Simone on the phone is so like real in terms of drunk high commentary too, because he's
Yes.
playing with the AstroTurf. First of all, he licks the gravel and, like, eats it, and then he's telling Simone, like, everything is fake. Even this grass is fake. It's green in the dark, and, the only thing that's real is my feelings for you. But, like,
Mhm.
everything is fake, Wille. Go off.
Yeah, it's like spot on high thoughts where you're like, yeah, everything is fake.
It's like that time you told me about when you and your friends were like, what constitutes a tree and what constitutes a bush? And
I
how
think
come
about it all the time. Like, what makes a tree and what makes a bush a bush? And poor bush that's like 6 foot tall, doesn't it feel sad that it can't be a tree?
I love you
Hello?
so much.
Continuing on, I just love it. Like the conversation with Simone, and Simone shows up, and Ville's like, "You came,"
Mhm.
and it does also add to Simone's character, where like he has dealt with this with his dad. He has dealt with people being drunk and
Mm.
having to handle drunk and high people. And so you feel his frustration, but also his ability to be a caring person in that time. So he is irritated with Billy, but at the same time, he's like, you know what I have to do? I have to get him home safe. And he is like, Billy, get up. Like he uses a little bit of tough love, puts his arm around him. And at one point, he tells Billy to pull himself together, and Billy
Mhm.
jumps on his back, like
Mhm.
as if he wants him to give him a piggyback ride. And Simone's like, what the hell are you doing? It's just such a cute scene. I really love it.
That's such a good catch. Like, it's not even a catch, it's very blatant in the show, but I've never thought about it for some reason. The symmetry of he just dealt with his really drunk dad and now he's with his drunk kind of boyfriend, and like how much he's dealt with that before and how much it must affect him. Because it's not something he ever directly says. It's just something the
Mhm.
viewers are shown.
Yeah, and I would have to say it's not something I truly picked up probably the first or second time, but as I've continued, I probably have seen season 1 all the way through 4 or 5 times, and as I mentioned, this specific scene so many times, but the more I've watched it, the more I've picked up that characterization where you're like, "Oh, this makes sense why he's acting this way towards Billy." Like, super caring, but also tough love, and you could hear his frustration.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have on that scene. But I did note that August sucks because he sucks. But also, if you are the crown prince and you are hooking up with another man, close the fucking blinds. Come on. Why are we
You're hooking
even
up with
involved?
anyone.
Sure. But, you know?
Yeah, I get it because he feels safe, but I would never feel safe enough for that.
No.
I wrote my first watch, I really loved Simone the most, but now I really love Wille because I just think that he's really funny and dramatic. And the more I watch him, the more I'm like, yeah, go off, future king.
Yeah.
Like, Simone's
He's
like the one we
so
can,
dramatic.
yeah, and he's funny. And like, Simone's the one we can relate to more, I think, in your first
Hmm.
watch through because he's like the normal one and he's so kind and caring. But
Hmm.
Wille, the more you watch, the more you're like, this guy's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a point at the very beginning when Wille's home for the funeral where he and his mom and dad have dinner and they're sitting at like a meager table in the kitchen to eat. Like, you're telling me the royal family isn't eating in a formal dining room?
Yeah. Not
Felt
believable.
felt strange. I know. I just know when they're hooking up. Villa's breath is rank. Like, that guy drank so much, did so many drugs, probably didn't drink any water. He just woke up after having a big ass sleep because he was just out. His breath has got to be disgusting.
Hmm.
I would not. I could never. I wouldn't even want to kiss myself.
Oh, see, I feel like morning breath bothers me less because I'm like, everyone has morning breath, but I'm sure his was like really bad.
Yeah, that's not morning breath. That's like hungover morning breath is a different beast.
Yeah, yeah.
I also wrote the ritual scene. How did you skip this? So, this is not important to the plot. I know that's why she didn't point it out, but I just have to
Hmm.
briefly mention when Vil is like, I need some air, and he walks outside, he quickly stumbles upon Felice and her roommate Maddie under a tunnel having a ceremony ritual to cleanse themselves of negative energy in which they are smearing charcoal on their foreheads. And this is when he gives his coat to Felice, and that's why she has it. I love this scene. First of all, because it's weird and
Yeah,
random and has nothing to do with the show. But second of
no.
all, it's part of my why I love Wille so much in this watch through, because I think it shows a lot of his character that he doesn't judge them for it, first of all. And then also Felice invites him and he's like, yeah, okay. I don't have any coal on my forehead though. Like, he's just so down to go with it. He's not like, why the
Yeah.
hell are you doing it? He's just like, yeah, sure. Cleanse ourselves.
Yeah,
It's
he's
just,
like, cleansing ceremony? Just became crown prince, probably could use some cleansing. Let's go.
yeah. It's so random and funny. And the show loves to throw in little bits like that. Okay, quotes.
Quotes. While Wille is giving his little speech, I'm pretty sure it's while he was giving his
Yeah,
speech.
Wille says that Eric would say this.
Yeah, he says that Eric would say, what's the point of a backup if you never use it?
Mm-hmm.
Which I just think shows, as we say, like, Wille is very dramatic, but also it shows like his humor through all of this, that he does rely on humor to get through tough times. I don't remember when this specifically happened. I'm not sure if it was Felice sharing with Maddie that she had sex with August, or if it was something else loosely related to Wille. But Maddie has this throwaway line in the back where she goes, "Was it royal?" And I just found it really good.
Did not catch that.
And then while August and Wille are peeing against the wall outside for 10 years, Wille goes, "Want to trade places?" And August goes, "Why not?" And foreshadowing, you guys. Foreshadowing.
Well, I don't even know if it's like full foreshadowing. Like, obviously, they can't logistically trade places, but it is definitely like foreshadowing into where August's character is going. Yeah, the start of his deterioration. But speaking of which, let's get into it. Episode 5.
Episode
Episode
5.
5. Wille and Simone are waking up post coitus ish, whatever, hooking up and making out again. And he's like, yo, your breath stinks. And I'm like, finally, the mention of the breath. And Ville's security knocks on his door and lets him know that there's only 5 minutes left to breakfast. So they make this little plan of like, you're going to sneak out the window and pretend that like you just came from the bus stop and I'm going to go get us breakfast. So they do that and they have this dramatic little monologue or montage where Ville is walking from the building and like smiling at Simone who's walking from the woods. It's so random and dramatic, and he's going to bring him a breakfast sandwich, but of course, who steps in and ruins it? August. Ville drops the sandwich off in Simone's lap in class, and we hear that Alexander is missing from class. So afterwards, he's then called over by the society members, and they learn that Alexander was caught with the drugs and suspended, and he might get expelled if they can't figure out if he gets blamed for the drugs. So there's like an investigation happening, and everyone in the society is in question.
And August is like, if anyone asks, just say you didn't hear anything, you don't know anything, you didn't see anything, just deny, deny, deny. Felice is chosen for Lucia. That will come back later. Sara gets a text from Mickey inviting her over while she's at the barn with Felice. And Felice is like, hey, Sara, are you okay? Because she noticed something's up. And Sara's like, he's not part of my life. Like, we don't talk to him anymore. I don't know why he's texting me. And so Felice can tell that Sara's in a place of need. It's like, hey, come sleep over this weekend. Wille and Simone are... they're just like walking around flirting with each other everywhere.
All over campus.
Everywhere. They're just flirting with security in front of them, flirting with security behind them, flirting. And Simone's like, come visit me in Bjarstad on Saturday. And Ville's like, okay. They share a little kiss when they're walking behind the guards. Then Wille shows up at Simone's house and they immediately go to his room to play video games. Wille is like kind of snooping around his room and sees he has a fish tank and he's like, oh, what are your fish's names? Simone's like, well, they all kind of look the same, but then he starts naming them off. And Wille is putting moves on Simone, is like kissing his neck and distracting them.
Simone can barely remember his fish's names.
And as they are making out, Simone stops to put on like a video game to make noise so that no one hears them.
And Ville's like, does this turn you on?
Yeah.
And then the girls are having a cute sleepover where they have the lady that runs the house gives a full-on mattress type thing for her. And Felice gets a text from August about if she's coming around, and she's annoyed. And Sara's like, I wasn't going to tell you this because it literally didn't mean anything, but he did kiss me. And so they post a story on Instagram of a photo of the two being like, boy, bye, which is her way of breaking up with him. And August he calls an important meeting to the gym regarding the Alexander situation. And they're all really nervous, and they think, okay, we're going to blame Simone. He gave us the drugs. It can go back to him. Who really cares? And Wille's like, what the fuck do you mean he gave you the drugs? So he goes and pulls Simone over into a room, and they talk, and he confronts him and is like, are you dealing? Like, are you a drug dealer? And Simone's like, no, I'm not a dealer. It was my dad's medicine. August owns me money. He's broke as fuck. I gave him the booze for your initiation before. Like, so they have like a fight, and Wille tells Simone like the plan is to rat him out, and he doesn't want to do that, but he can't think of anything better at this time. And so they kind of like see each other's perspective, but they're also, it's like it's all just really fucked up, and they don't leave on good terms.
And after this chat, Wille calls someone to ask about August's financial status.
To look into it, yeah.
Yeah. And then the headmistress calls August into her office, and she's like, you have all these late fees you haven't paid. Like, you can't return to school after Christmas break if the fees are paid. Wille texts Simone and lets him know, like, I'm trying to fix this. And the society has another group meeting, and Wille is the only one who's like, no, we're not blaming Simone. We're going to blame Alexander since he's the one who was caught. And if he goes and says that, like, we are the ones who took the drugs, we'll just all deny. And they're not going to take one person's word over all of ours. If all of us say no, then they're going to believe us. And August pushes back and is like, no, like, let's blame Simone. And Wille's like, well, you're not even going to be part of the society much longer because you're not going to return to school after Christmas because you're broke as shit. And so they all agree to stick to Wille's plan of blaming Alexander.
And then Felice is getting ready to be the Lucia, and her mom gave her a dress that is very traditional and pretty, but it doesn't fit, and she's like having a little bit of a panic attack putting it on, and Maddie's like, hey, I got you, I got this dress, and they're like, it's non-traditional, your mom's gonna freak out, and she's like, whatever. So her mom shows up and tells her she needs to stick to this dress. Her mom wore it, her mom's mom wore it, whatever, but it doesn't fit, and Felice sticks up to her and says, like, no, like, you need to go, this is what I'm wearing. We're going back and forth between them, I guess. Wille admits to Simone what happened. He like pulls him aside and is like, just so you know, we put Alexander down for this. And Simone's like not thrilled about it, but at the same time he admits, like, you know, they didn't want to lose each other, and they hug and kiss and make up, because it's like, what was the other option? While all of this is going on, Jess wrote, August is being a fucktard and uploads the video of Simone and Wille utilizing the library computer, which he does. He uses a library computer and uploads the sex tape that he took. And Sara, who needed to get her sash for the St. Lucia day, sees him because, of course, her locker is right outside of the library. Doesn't see what he's uploading, but sees him using that computer at that time.
And now it is Santa Lucia, and Sara ends up being the Lucia because Felice is just frustrated with the interaction with her mom. She doesn't even want to be Lucia, and Sara had mentioned earlier that, like, yeah, that would be fun to do. And then during the Lucia, August receives a call from the Queen letting him know that his tuition has been paid. He's all set to return after Christmas. And August is like, what? Like, how did you even know? And she's like, Wille called me and asked me to look into it. And Mickey shows up to the Lucia, and Sara's like pissed. Sara's like, what are you doing here? And Mickey's like, well, I really wanted to see you since Simone's been dropping by. I thought that I could see you too. And Sara is now super pissed at her dad and pissed at Simone because she's like, we all agreed it's better for us when he's not in our life. Like, why did you go and fuck this up?
Mm-hmm.
Then Wille's phone and everyone else's phone starts blowing up. He pulls it out and he has a text with a link to a video that says, is this you? And it is a link to the video that August uploaded.
And that's episode 5, Juicy Stuff. So I felt so vindicated with the very beginning when there was the morning breath mention, and Simone is like, "You have terrible morning breath," because again, I was watching this like, you know, that breath is rank. Like I thought
Mm-hmm.
that at the last episode, that was one of my last notes, and then this opened up right on that, and I was like, yeah, yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I love because this is like the first time that they're hooking up that we see. And I love that Ville, instead of like being shy or embarrassed, he's like being very playful and jokey about the morning breath with Simone. Like he's like rolling on top of him and like like breathing into him, which I think just like really adds into Ville's like characterization.
Yeah, it is. It's cute.
Mm-hmm.
Also in that scene you pointed out, there's like he at first he's like to Simone, because Simone's like, "What? I don't get breakfast. I'm hungry." And he's like, "Well, then you should have packed a sandwich." And it's like the audacity, because the way he delivers it, you like can't even fully tell if he's joking.
Mm-hmm. He seems serious, and then he adds a "just kidding," but he says it fully serious, and you're like, you were drunk in a field by yourself, and he rescued your ass. Like
He rode a bike in the snow to come get you.
yeah, like the least you can do is give the poor guy some breakfast.
Yeah. You wrote, "Why is Felice's room way better than Ville's?" I kind of agree. Like, it's
It's so
just, it's
nice.
bigger, it's cozier. The girls'
Yeah,
dorm just seems way better than the guys' dorm.
yeah. Also, they're like, I know it's not the headmistress, but whoever is like in charge
Mhm.
of like the dorm life seems way nicer than the guys' version of that.
I also really liked this part where when when Ville goes to visit Simone, his one of his two security guards is there as well and has a little hello with his mom and stuff. Like,
Yeah, and I had never noticed this before, but she like fully walks in and we're like left to assume that she stays there the whole time that Billy's there. I'm like,
yeah,
what is she doing?
having tea with his mom, I guess. But yeah, imagine how weird it would be to be a mom and like your son's boyfriend shows up with a security guard that you now have to entertain.
Well, and your son's boyfriend is the crown prince.
Yeah, true.
Fish scene, we already touched on it. So cute. It's my second favorite scene from season one. I know it's a very popular fan scene as well.
This is one of those scenes. I don't have it as much this watch through because well, actually I did forget some of the stuff. But anyway, this is one of the few shows that when I watch the intimate scenes, I like get a little warm and fuzzy inside, and I'm like, it's done so well that I'm like, wait, this is kind of hot.
It
And
is kind of hot.
the fish scene is very that, like, it's so good.
Yeah.
And, like, you know that exact feeling when someone you're into is, like, kissing on your neck and you, like, get a hot head and you can't think of what you're trying to
Mhm.
say. Also, I'm really into Simone's fish tank. It's really cute. It has a lot of water plants, and I love water plants.
Yeah, it is cute. But it is just like standard goldfish, I feel.
Oh, yeah, the fish are boring, but it's, like, clearly one of those ones that has, like, a lot of aquascaping, so you don't need a filter, and I'm into that.
This is just a confusing thing. I don't understand how they know who to interview about the Alexander incident. Like they found the drugs on him and all the meetings they're having is as society members
Mhm.
and like the people who are interviewed by the headmistress is the society members. But I'm like, how does the headmistress and the school know who's in the society and how do they know that that's the people involved with the Alexander incident? Unless he told them. I just was like, wouldn't they then be interviewing like everyone who lives in the dorms?
My impression was the boys went to the headmaster or headmistress
Mm,
themselves to be like, "We didn't wanna rat him out, but we just thought you should know, like, this is what happened."
mm.
But I still agree of, like, if you don't know for sure who was involved, you would still talk to other people. Like, I would be suspicious if a group of, like, 7 boys just came up and blamed one kid, you know?
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
I love Felice. I think she is the best friend in this whole show, and we'll get
Hmm.
into more of that in the next episode. But the way that she gave Sara the Lucia title was so sweet because
So sweet.
they say like it's a thing that the students vote on, And Felice didn't even put her name in the running. And Sara was like, I didn't know you had to put your own name in the running. Or the other people did. They voted for themselves. And that's when she realizes, like, Sara maybe wanted it. And so she just gives it to her out of, like, because why not? And it's just, like, I don't know. She's a really good supportive friend.
Totally.
Something that cracked me up just really small when they were in class, the scene where Alexander's not there, it cuts from that scene to something else right as two girls stand up to give an argument that they are pro capital punishment. And I just want to point out that capital punishment was outlawed in 1973 in Sweden and was last used in 1910. So, like, that's a really unpopular opinion. And I feel like it says a lot about the kinds of kids that go to this school, which we've already seen. Like, they're very aristocratic, like,
Yeah.
but it's just really, like, a funny detail to me.
Yeah. You're right. The flirting scenes around campus are literally so sloppy. Could not agree more.
Yeah. Question. Is Simone a drug dealer? Is he not technically dealing drugs? He's the supplier for the dealer.
I'd say no, because that's not what I see as a drug dealer is like the kid in college who has like a green light bulb outside their front door, and you show up and he brings you into his room and he opens up his pant drawer, and like in the back is a giant bag of weed with a scale that he like measures out and then puts in a tiny little baggie for you, and then you leave. Like, that to me is a drug dealer, and that is not what Simone is doing. Like, what Simone is doing is more the equivalent of like when one of your friends has an older sister who's above 21 and she goes and buys alcohol for you. And like, you know, like, it's blurred, but to me that's not drug dealer.
There were definitely kids in college who were taking Adderall when they were not prescribed it and they were getting it from somewhere, and that is a drug, and it is a controlled substance. It is a higher level drug.
Mm-hmm.
So that is an implication of dealing.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't classify it, but I could see how you could argue that it is a drug dealer.
I think it goes into the whole class thing. Like, just because it's a different type of drug and it's not like in a pant drawer. I mean, it's in a fucking bag and he's stealing it from a drawer anyway in a kitchen, but
Yeah.
just
And
because
it's
it's prescription doesn't mean it's not dealing. Because it's not their prescription.
Sure. I guess to me, because it's not like his job, he's doing it like because he got himself in a shitty situation, which I guess probably does happen to a lot of people, but because it's not like his main source of income or his, like, I don't know, it's not his job. He's just doing it on this one occurrence. That's why I would say he's not a drug dealer.
Okay.
And it's only to August. Like, a dealer to me would deal to multiple people. They would have clientele. He doesn't have clientele he's dealing to.
Okay.
They drink from the shampoo bottle.
Yeah, along this vein of bootleg substance abuse, the girls on the St. Lucia night are literally drinking alcohol from a shampoo bottle. And it's hilarious. It's so
they
real.
say it's mulled wine, which I found really, I'm pretty positive they say it's mulled wine, which I find really funny because glögg is like the traditional drink of Santa Lucia. So it's actually like that is accurate writing.
Mm-hmm.
They clearly did their research.
Well, they're Swedish.
Well, yeah.
They would know. But they
But
make
are
a
all
comment.
the writers research? Are all the writers Swedish? We don't know. I guess our assumption is yes.
My assumption is yes, because they're speaking in Swedish. But they make a note that it tastes like shampoo, which is funny.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote the hair clips. So this, I get into the physical symbolism of the show, which I really appreciated, because the first night that Sara has the sleepover at the dorm, not the Santa Lucia night, they have dinner and they have to dress up because in this dorm they like to dress up for dinner on the weekends, and she doesn't have anything nice, so Felice gives her a dress and gives her her signature hair clips, which up until this point, every time we've seen Felice, she's had these gold bobby pins with little symbols on them on both sides of her head, and she puts them on Sara. And after that scene, we don't see Sara without them. She wears them regularly. She keeps the dress. And this to me is like a symbolism of how Sara's character is developing.
Yeah.
Which I really like.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to explain the Santa Lucia of it all?
Yeah. In this episode, as we mentioned, they're celebrating Santa Lucia, which takes place on December 13th. It's like a festival of light, started in pagan traditions, and then now a lot of Christianity is involved in it.
It's a solstice, right?
Yeah, it basically is symbolizing the longest day of the year, and that this is the longest and darkest day of the year, since in Sweden and Scandinavian countries it's almost fully dark. That light is ahead, in that the Christmas season is here, the holiday season is here, and there's light and warmth to be celebrated. Amanda had to Google if Santa Lucia is actually real, which I loved. My parents belonged to like a Swedish American league. I grew up celebrating a lot of Swedish traditions, and Santa Lucia is one of those. So I grew up doing it like probably 5 or 6 times. I knew the song. I was singing along. We also sung a bunch of other traditional Christmas songs in Swedish. Everything you see in the show is exactly what we did. But I did want to note, at least the way it was done in our league, is the oldest women, so normally it was all the girls who were turning like 17, were the ones who were eligible to become Lucia, and then their names were put in a hat, and then it was a vote. I guess it wasn't put in a hat, it was a vote. People would vote, and then that person would get it. However, once we were like 14, both Puck and I were like, no more, we're done, because it's traumatic. Now they use fake candles most of the time in these celebrations, but the Lucia wears a wreath of real candles. The hot wax drips in their eyes as you're singing. It drips down their back. It's so painful. It literally, like, all of us afterwards would be consoling the Lucia, because they have to sit there and sing a solo in Swedish while hot wax from this wreath of candles is dripping on their face. Like, it is honestly quite crazy that it's like done so many places, because it's like a intense experience.
I can't believe that you were doing it with real candles. Like, yes, electric candles have come a long way as we've been alive, but they existed in a decent enough way when we were young. You should not have been doing it with real candles. That's an absurd level of risk.
Real candles.
I would be worried that one would fall on my head and my hair would catch fire.
Yeah. Like, it was like wax, chunks of wax in the hair, and we would be like having to comb it out and stuff. Yeah, I have like very intense memories of like consoling whoever the Lucia was every single year, because it was like, that's why I was like, I don't want to be Lucia. One, singing a solo in Swedish sounds terrifying, but also I don't want to wear a wreath of candles on my head.
I hate everything about that.
Yeah. Yeah. However, it is a fun little celebration, and yeah, it was great. I loved that they included it.
You have one quote.
I have one quote from when Simone and Wille are just like walking around the school campus flirting with each other, and they are standing by the water, and the guards are right there, and they're like, what do you think they think we're talking about? And they're like, that the water is cold. And so then Wille shouts to the guards, the water is cold, just so you know. And it's cute.
In like a sarcastic way, too.
Yeah.
All right. The final episode of this season, episode 6. Episode 6. I was waiting for you.
Sorry.
It's okay. The queen has arrived at Hilarska, mentions that they need to issue a statement denying everything, because again, the sex tape is blowing up on the phones, and that it is not Wille in the video is what she wants the official statement to say. He also isn't allowed to be seen with Simone because they don't want any rumors to start. At his apartment, we see Simone is getting lots of attention, because in this video you see his face, you don't see Wille's face, so there's no denying that it's Simone. And he buys a gossip magazine at the store that has his photo on the cover while out shopping, and heads home. And then his mom is like, we need to report this to the police, because guys, this is the distribution of child pornography. And she wants to switch both him and Sara back to his old school because clearly they're not safe at their current school. But Sara's pissed because she's finally making friends and this isn't her fault. Paparazzi show up speaking English, trying to get photos and statements from Simone. And his friends come and are like talking him through it, and Wille's turned off his phone so Simone can't get a hold of him, and he's just like very alone and talking about changing schools. And on the one hand, Ayub, his friend, the male friend, is like, that like it'd be great to have the gang back together, but on the other hand, Rosh, the female friend, is like, it like it would be, but it's bullshit that you would have to suffer for something that you didn't do. Like, these other kids are the reason that you're going through this. Why aren't they getting punished?
Yeah. The Queen departs Hilerska. Press release is scheduled to be recorded over the weekend. And we see Wille decompressing in his room, and August shows up with dinner and is like, I promise to just like help you out. If anyone is causing you trouble, you let me know, which is like, August, you caused the trouble to begin with. And Wille apologizes for mentioning his finances in front of everyone. And it's like, that wasn't cool. I shouldn't have done that. And he's like, I just don't know what to do. And August is like, Eric would want you to be yourself and follow your heart. Simone and Wille finally agree to talk to one another. This is the first time they're kind of talking since the video got leaked, and they're in the locker rooms and they're holding hands and they're snuggling. And Wille's like, just so you know, they want me to issue a denial, but I would prefer to not have to say anything at all. And Simone is frustrated because he's like, it's clearly me in the video. I can't get out of this. It's always going to be me regardless. That, like, for you to just deny it just like is shitty because I can't, like, I'm still going to be stuck dealing with all of this. And they both kind of agree, like, we're in this together. We didn't do anything wrong, but they don't have like a plan yet.
Yeah. Sara, meanwhile, in the deterioration of her character, shows up at August's dorm and says, I saw you uploading that sex tape. And he's like, get in here because you wouldn't be talking to me if you didn't want something. You would just go to the authorities. And we get this interesting conversation where she asks why he did it, and he's like, Wille doesn't deserve to be the crown prince. Like, he doesn't take it seriously like Eric did, and I deserve it more, and he's an embarrassment. Which, like, tell us how you really feel, August. And then he's like, what do you want, like, to keep this quiet? And she says, I want what you have. Like, I want to live in the dorm at Hilerska. I want this to be my life. And he's like, bro, that's easy. Just apply and you'll get a grant. Like, you're broke as fuck. So, but he's saying this as he's like getting very close to her. And then she goes in and kisses him. So, yeah. And they make out, and then now we're back in Sara and Simone's apartment, and she's wearing Felice's dress that she wore to dinner in the previous episode when she was in the dorm with the hair clips, and they're eating at the couch, and she doesn't like it, and they are like, but it's cozy, and Simone and the mom are kind of laughing at her. It's just like, like, this is very posh and like not normal for us, but she gets mad and kind of throws a tantrum, and Simone like reasons with her, and they have like a heart-to-heart to make up.
Wille asks if Simone will come over before he has to leave to go back home for the weekend. And so Wille's like, I don't want to stop seeing you. I want to be with you. And he really leads Simone to believe that he's not going to make the statement. He's going to talk to the Queen. He's not going to issue the denial. However, on the car ride home with the Queen, she makes it clear that the priorities are the crown and that this is his one chance to make it go away. And she makes it very clear that, like, he does not have an option. So Wille does the press statement and he does issue a denial. And during Simone's game night, we see the family all together. We see Ayub and Rosh there, and they're playing board games, and Ayub gets a ping on his phone, and he opens it up, and it's an article letting him know that Wille did deny the rumors.
Wille asks Simone if he can drop by, and Simone's like, I don't know that I'm ready to see you, but Wille is literally in a car on his way there, so he's like, LOL, you don't have a chance. So he shows up, and they talk, and Wille apologizes and is like, but nothing has to change. Like, we can't be seen, but we can still be together on the down low. And Simone sticks up for himself and says he doesn't want to be a secret, and that Wille needs to like take some time and figure out what it is that he really wants, and he can't be around for that, which is very cool. Felice, who we haven't mentioned, we've seen like through flashes, staring intently at this video all episode, trying to find any sort of clue as to who could have done it. She figures out that it was August because there's a little pixelation issue in the video that is in the same in all of his photos because he dropped his phone. And she tells Wille that it was August, and he fucking runs at August and is like, you're not family anymore. And then he calls his mom and is like, August did it. And she's like, I know. I've known for days. And we don't help the family by telling anyone. So you don't get to tell anyone.
It is Christmas break. Everyone is saying goodbye. There's a little choir performance, and then we see everyone kind of heading towards their cars and on their way out for break. And Wille goes to say goodbye to Simone and is like, your song was beautiful, and gives him a huge hug. And they have this very long, lingering hug. And while they are hugging, we hear Wille say, I'm sorry and I love you to Simone.
And Simone says, have a good break.
Yep. And that is our episode.
Yeah. And that's the end of the season, guys. Drama. And from what I remember, season 2 gets even more dramatic. So, like, stay tuned. Starting off hot, they have this hilarious conversation about the Kim K sex tape.
Yeah, I love it. It's like Ayoub, Rosh, and Simone, and they're laying in bed. And
Ayoub was like, everyone has a sex tape now. Like,
yeah.
Kim K did it, and like sometimes it gets leaked for other reasons, and like it's normal.
Yeah, and Rosh is like, yeah, but you haven't watched Kim K's. Like, this one is everywhere. And Ayoub's like, no, I have watched it. And Simone's like, yeah, I also have seen it. And she's like, what?
She's like, are you fucking pigs? Like, what are you talking about? Have you seen it? Because I haven't.
I haven't.
Okay.
But I do think it's one of those things where most people have.
Yeah, I guess like when I hear about sex tapes, I've never been curious enough to like look for it. I'm just like, okay, that exists.
Yeah. I just don't care.
A really great scene of Felice is the best friend ever. Like early on, her and her friends are sitting around in the library talking about how like what would they even do, like if they were together. They would have to get a surrogate, and a surrogate would have to be of like noble blood, and it would be impossible. Like, who would do that? And Felice is like, could you shut up? Like, he just got outed. And she's taking it very seriously, and I have mad respect for Felice because before this, she had a huge crush on Wille, and she had tried to kiss him, and she so quickly changes like pace with him and is just such a good friend. And then the way that she's like obsessed looking at this video, even though it's probably uncomfortable for her, just to find any sort of clue. Like, she's just I just love her.
She's like, my friend is going through a hard thing, and I'm gonna try to get to the bottom of it. And that is like a true friend who steps up when you're not asked. You're like, I need to figure this out because I care about this other person. And she is like, we are both huge fans of Felice. Like, I really love her.
And speaking of this, of the video and the way the kids in school are reacting.
So I don't know if it's just me, but in all the clips that they show of this video, it's obviously Wille. Like, yes, it shows Simone's face, but it is also obviously Wille. And so I'm like, I feel like this is the dumbest press move ever. Like, all the kids at school know it's him. Like, it's very clearly done at, like, shot at Hilarska because of the way the dorm rooms look. Like, it is obviously him.
Yeah, and it'd be easy to find out that Simone goes to this school, and then the hair, like, I think part of it is we haven't seen any other kids with hair like that. But to me, the dumbest move for sure is that in that conversation that Felice has with her friends, and she's like, he just got outed, they say only to us because we know that that's Wille's dorm room, which is to say, everyone that goes to this school, which is everyone of noble blood in Sweden, and then some, know that that is Wille because that's his room. So yeah, people might not want to like put their neck out there and like say the crown is lying, but there's so many people who could that like lying about it is such a risky move. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it just feels unrealistic. Like that is not the move that like an expert in PR and press would tell someone to do. I feel.
I feel like they would just say to ignore it.
Mm-hmm. Let it die out. Something else will
Yeah.
come up. I wrote the whole Sara of it all. We'll get into it, especially in season 2. Oh my god, season 2. I hate that they ruined her character. I feel like she was so great, and now she's just like, why are you kissing August? Why are you doing these things? Like, it's your fucking brother. Like, you
I
would think you would go and tell your brother, I know who posted your sex tape.
But what does she get out of that? What is he going to do
Being
with
a
that
good
information?
family member?
But what is Simone going to do with that information?
I guess, but I don't know. I still feel like it's the right thing to do, regardless of what Simone is going to do with that information. Like what Felice did with Wille. We just said we loved that she went out of her way to discover who it was and go and tell him, and that makes her a good friend. Like
Mhm.
what would have made Sara a good sibling is telling Simone, not
Mm.
going and then kissing August.
I do think it's weird to kiss the guy that's been doing so much shit, but I kind of get it as like he's the only guy, I assume, that has really expressed any sort of interest in her even when it was fake. And like she's so desperately trying to fit in at this point. And so it is an assassination of her character. But I don't know that they ruined I don't know that they ruined her character.
Mm.
Like, I love a messy character. I love a complex
Ugh.
character. I don't love for her the route that she's going down, but I do love that she is going down a route, that she is not a
Mm.
stagnant character.
Mm.
But guys, she does get really bad in season 2. I don't even remember what happens in season 2. I just remember that she makes August look kind of not as bad.
Yeah, literally. Simone, when he meets the queen, so Simone goes over to say goodbye to Wille, and then the queen ends up showing up, which Wille did not expect. And so Simone is walking out with him, and he meets the queen, and he like freezes. He's like, Your Majesty, and then like does a little like bow to her, but you could tell he's like, what the fuck do I do?
Mm-hmm. What do you do when you meet your boyfriend's mom and your boyfriend's mom is the queen?
Am I wrong? Or did the queen low-key admit to dating a woman?
I couldn't tell.
She's in the car with Wille and is like, I too had an unfortunate romance when I was your age. And I'm like, are we referring to unfortunate romance as a romance of someone of the same sex? And so, like, did you date a woman? Like, I need to know. I need the story.
I couldn't tell if she meant a woman or just someone below her class. I think it could be either, but I love to think that it was a woman.
Yeah, me too.
Like her and Felice's mom, I could totally see it.
Oh, yeah.
The stare at the end of the episode, oh my god, so fucking dramatic. Like the whole time they decide for the last shot of the season, they're gonna break the fucking fourth wall for the only time it happens in the show, where Wille is in the car, I think, and he's just stares directly at the camera for like 5 seconds before it goes black. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. So dramatic, though. The final song, so there's a lot of instrumental songs in this, but the final like song with lyrics that we hear is Revolution by Elias Solon. And it does a thing that Heartstopper does sometimes where like I really loved it, but also the lyrics were almost too spot on. Like that I was like, okay, is this now cheesy? I wrote down some of the lyrics. They're like, running with a crown on your head, a resolution written on your hands, the lies, they will hurt you. It just felt very on the nose.
I didn't notice it. I kind of like things that are cheesy, but I understand what you're saying. Sometimes they're too much. Because there's a point where Wille, at the end of the episode, where Wille's on the phone with his mom, and she starts going off. I don't even remember what it's about, but she starts like yelling at him and like going off about the crown and shit, and he just hangs up.
It's when he learns that August was the one that posted it, and she already knew.
Yeah, and she's like, it wouldn't help the crown, wouldn't help the family, blah, 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 blah. Imagine how it would look. And she's going off, and he just hangs up. He hangs up his phone. And I'm like, imagine hanging up on the queen.
Yeah. Never.
Like, that's some king shit. Hey, no one in this school gets any solos because Simone keeps stealing all of them, and I feel bad for them. Because every single choir shot we get is basically a Simone concert with background vocals.
Yeah, but also they casted a musician who was not an actor first for a reason. So, like, you casted a musician, give him a chance to be a musician.
I get it, but I just think that his voice is more pop starry than it is choral, so it stands out in a weird way.
Yeah, I agree. Getting into quotes, this isn't a quote, but we get like flashes of all these different headlines that now are coming out now that the video is posted. And one of the headlines was finally some news to put Sweden on the map.
Cute.
Which I enjoyed. Then when Sara's doing the whole like, I want to dress up for dinner at home thing, one of the lines that Simone says is he's like, I guess I better go put on my suit. Like,
I really like this line. Simone says, I don't want to be anyone's secret. He says that to Wille when Wille is like, we just can't be seen. August did kind of eat that one thing when he said, I think Eric would have wanted you to be yourself.
He did.
Like, all of my lines are heartfelt. I don't know why, but in that same Sara and Simone scene where they are fighting and she's like trying to be more posh like the girls in Manor House, Simone says that she should be more like herself, and she says, no one likes me when I'm me, and he says, I like you when you're you. You're just like so sweet. They're so sweet.
Sibling moment. Yeah, I love it.
They're such good siblings.
Any other final thoughts?
No, I love the show.
Yeah,
that's it.
Love this show. I do have to say, personally, I don't remember loving season 2 as much, but like I'm excited to get into it. I rewatched season 1 so many times that season 2 I watched it once, and I think maybe I started a second rewatch but never finished it. So I'm excited to watch it again and talk about it.
I also agree. I think I've seen it once. I don't think I've seen it twice. Like, I know I've seen it once. I don't think I've seen it twice. But I do remember it being messy, and I remember us, like, I remember Sara getting so messy that we kind of felt bad for August, because I think she like plays him around a bit. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I remembered something else with Simone.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, get ready for it.
Yep, season 2, wild ride. But please join us along for it. And as always, follow us on all of our socials, 90s Babies Nostalgia on Instagram and YouTube. Spell out the word 90s. On TikTok, use numbers. Rate and review us on Apple and Spotify podcasts. And also just like interact with us on socials. We love when people comment, DM. So if you have watched Young Royals and you want to talk about it, you have favorite moments we missed, like, let us know. Our favorite thing is to talk about TV, and clearly that's why we're here doing it. So we would love to be your buddies in that.
Yeah. This year we're really trying to, last year we got consistent in a way that we hadn't been the first couple of years. And this year we are trying to keep that momentum and build a little more engagement. Like, we want to hear from people. So please interact with us or share our stuff, whatever makes you happy. It's free and easy to do. And I'm sure you're not listening to all of this if you don't care about any of it. So unless you're like one of our parents, in which case, ew, why are you listening? Anyway, stay gay, everybody. Bye.
Bye.